Hey YouTube, hope you are well, wealthy and winning. In this video, I'm going to share with you 10 things that's helped me to become a millionaire by age 32. And hopefully this will inspire you to take some actions, do some different activities that's going to accelerate you towards hundreds of thousands, if not millions of pounds. So the first one is resilience. Now, I know that this is a common frame, but resilience is really important. How do you bounce back from failure? Because remember, failure is only feedback. I used to be really driven to become a professional footballer. Because when I was young, that's the only way that I felt that I could be financially successful. But when I failed at professional football, or failed in that realm, then I realized that I had to utilize the skills that I learned from football and I had to bounce back. I had to build resilience in myself in order to take the skills that I learned from one expertise and apply it to a different expertise. And for me, that was building a coaching company. And for those of you who know my journey, I took that coaching company from a £30 business, one-man band to a 150 person team and built that to over £3 million in recurring revenue. Now, along that journey as well was a massive let of failure. You know, I had one guy that actually stole, I had a client that stole contracts from me, stole staff from me, etc. But what did I do? I didn't go, oh no, it doesn't work. Let me just go back to university and do my dead degree that nobody's gonna pay me for. Dead that. I had to build resilience. So yes, I lost I think it was about a £40,000 contract at that time. Yes, I lost, and that was at that time when I was about 21, maybe 22. That was a massive learning curve for me. That was a lot of money. That was one of my biggest clients I lost. And they were like, yeah, that contract doesn't say X, Y, Z. Therefore, we'll be taking a member of staff and we'll no longer be using your service, Mr. Rose. And I was burnt. But I decided to be resilient and then I changed the contract. I spent a few £1,000s on building up a stronger contract so that that never happened again. And then I built the business on that foundation. The second thing is leveling up skills. Now, this has been absolutely profound. And once you start to level up your skills, you have to understand that your skills are the only thing that cannot be taxed, cannot be taken away from you, and will naturally grow and compound over time. So what do I mean by skills? As a business professional, when I started, I just learned how to coach sports, right? So that was pretty cool. But once I learned how to coach football really well, I then started to learn how to coach basketball, netball, hockey, tag rugby, leveling up the skills. And I started to build a team of over 10 people. When I was maybe 21, 22, I decided, you know what, I've got to learn the skills to manage this team. I've got to learn operational skills. I've got to learn financial management skills. I've got to learn leadership. I've got to learn recruitment. And then as I started to scale it up, I was like, well, we need more clients. So then I started to go to every single course that I could that was based around sales, marketing. And what I would do is I would spend approximately 3 to 6 months studying one particular skill. So I would spend 3 to 6 months just studying marketing. I'd find 5 books on the subject. I would find 4 audio tapes. I would go out and go to 3 different conferences. I would speak to a couple of different people that I knew in the space that were doing better than me. And then I would take one solid action and take one solid course on each of those subjects. And that's called the 5-4-3-2-1 formula that I actually picked up from Brian Tracy. I didn't know that I was doing it at the time. That's essentially what I was doing in order to level up my skills. Remember, your skills cannot be taken away, they cannot be taxed, and they will naturally grow and compound over time. So investing in your skill set is by use of time or by use of money or both is never going to be a downside for you. You always have to level up. And by leveling up, that's what enabled me to bring on to number 3, which is building team. It's really difficult to become incredibly financially successful by yourself. You have to learn to communicate well with people, to lead people, to onboard people, to train and develop people so that they can deliver the things that you are not necessarily able to do due to time or due to efficiency. So that's why when schools started to say to me, oh Jazz, we want you to coach at 3 o'clock, and then another school 20 minutes down the road would say, we want you also to coach at 3 o'clock. I didn't limit myself and say, oh my goodness, I can only do one thing at a time. I said, okay, who can I train to then go and deliver all those other services? And then by the time I was about 25, I had a team of office staff. I had a finance team in the office, I had HR in the office, I had admin in the office, and all of that sort of stuff. So then I I was not doing any of the coaching anymore. And that's how you start to really scale an operational business, by really being able to train other people, step back, and really start to build a scalable team. With the business that we run now, Money Mastery and Money Mastery Academy, we've done really well in terms of scaling a team. Those of us, our clients that were really successful in the beginning, have now become remarkable team members who deliver a lot of the coaching and mentoring on our behalf, which allows us then to scale. Because remember, your time as an expert is limited, but your income shouldn't be limited, and the amount of people that you can help shouldn't be limited. And you've got to leverage that through building team and also building incredible digital assets, as I'm doing with you here right now. Number 4, I was going to call this frugality when I was young. Because in my 20s, I would often get described as frugal, but I would not describe it as frugal. In fact, I banish that word. I don't like it. It's a bit, it's uncomfortable. So here's what I'll call it: financial intentionality. Being intentional around where your money is going and why it is going there. Now, I would never ever tell you not to invest in yourself, in something that is going to help you to grow and compound your wealth. Here's what I would do, is consider every single purchase that you're making and consider, is this going to help me get towards my goal, or is it going to slow me down? Because by and large, most of the decisions that you make every single day are going to do one of the two things. It's like, if you want to get fit and you want to get a really trim and you want to get a great six-pack, you've got to decide, is eating that cookie, is that going to help me towards my goal, or is it going to slow me down? And if it's going to slow you down, then you've got to change decision, change your state, change your mind frame, and accelerate into a new opportunity. Do something different with your money that's going to help you move towards your goals. I remember being in nightclubs, and I was when I was like 22, 23, 24, all my friends would be, buying bottles and all of this sort of stuff. Me, I was just sipping on my water. I was sipping on my water. And then when I was going out there buying properties and investing in assets, and people would be like, Jazz, how are you spending £90,000 on buying your first property? How are you buying all of these properties? And I was just like, I had a very clear goal of where I wanted my money to go, and I wanted my money to go in assets. So I was like, okay, cool. If I need to buy this property, I'm going to need about £50,000. Okay, cool. So that means I need to save X amount per month. And that's what I was doing. I was being very intentional about my finances, and irrespective of what level you're at, whether you're a multi-millionaire or whether you make £30,000 a year, it's very, very valuable and important to pay attention to where your money goes. I still do this today. I track every single pound. Where did it go? Why did it go there? And then I review my finances using what I call a money tracker, which I'll link in this video below, so that you can start to use it as well to analyze where my money's gone and analyze how can I make better financial decisions going forward. That leads me on to number 5, which is investing in property. Property made me financially successful. Property will also make you financially successful. Now, I'm not going to say every single person should invest in property. However, here's what I believe. Well, I am kind of going to say that, but here's what I believe. I believe that every person should have at least 2 properties. One that you live in and one that you pay for. I believe that everyone should have at least 2 properties. One that pays you and one that you pay for. In other words, one that you live in and one that pays you every single month passively. Why? Because the one that you have as an asset, in other words, that is rented out to somebody else, can pay for where you live and pay for and start to cover at least some of your basic expenses. And that starts to get you into a mind frame of, oh, I don't have to work hard for money. No, get that, it's done. All right, what you have to do is you have to be financially intelligent, invest in property and or other assets, because I'm not going to say property is the only asset that you can invest in, but that's just what I did. And once I got to a stage of about 10, 11 properties, and I bought the house that I live in now and a couple of other properties, then I became a millionaire age 32. Next, a skill that every single person to learn. How do you make money? Well, people will say, yeah, well, I'm really good at building houses, or I'm really good at HR, or I help people do, no. But how do you make money? You make money through one skill and one skill only. And the better that you are at this one skill, the more money you will naturally make. Most people don't master this skill. They know the skill, they play the skill every single day, but they don't master it. What's the skill? Communication. Why? Because communication, my friends, is your gateway to currency. The only way to start generating more money in some way, shape or form is through a narrative of communication. So understand your words are your way to wealth. Let me give you a quick example. I remember being in a primary school. I was about 26 years young, and a school particularly said to me, hey, we want to just do like lunchtime clubs. And when I worked out the contract value, it was going to be somewhere in the region of about £2,000 to £3,000 a year. And I was like, I don't want to do that. That's horrible, right? It's not going to allow us to leverage. So when I went into the meeting, I started to communicate. I started to ask different quality questions. Like, hey, what are you doing for PE? What are you doing for music? How's that going for you? What are you doing for art and drama? How's that going for you? How can we make it better? What would a world-class 10 out of 10 solution look like for you? By the time I was done with that 60-minute meeting, I came out with a contract not of 2,000, not of 3,000, but a £188,000 contract. Why? Because I asked quality questions and I communicated my expertise in a really clear, proficient, and eloquent manner. And you have to learn to do the same. I've had clients that have negotiated double their salary. I have clients that have negotiated extra 10, 20, 30,000 pounds more than what it says on the piece of paper of what their job status or whatever it is says on paper. And that is all through developing the natural skill of communication and communicating really well. And that brings us on to number 7. How do you get really good at communication? Well, one of the many ways that you can do that is through reading. When I was a kid, my mum used to say to me, if I said, Mom, I'm bored, she'll go read a book. Send me. And you know what? I took that literally. I went upstairs and I would read Enid Blyton, C.S. Lewis, and I started to get older. That was just a natural recurring habit for me. I started reading marketing books, sales books, operational leadership books, recruitment books, all sorts of different books around business, around financial success. And I hit a blip in my business when I was about, I think it was about 29, maybe 30 years young. And I hit a blip and we weren't scaling past that 3 million of where I wanted to go. And then I remember realizing to myself, hey, you spent all of this time investing in learning about business books and sales and marketing, which is fantastic. But how much time have you actually invested in learning about what it is that you actually want to create on the other side, which is wealth? At that trigger, that was a trigger for me. And that 6-month period, I read every single book that I could, and I didn't read any book that didn't have the word wealth, millionaire, billionaire, or money in it. And I started to learn how money works, and I started to really pay attention to it so that I can leverage my businesses even further. You must read books or listen to audiobooks, whichever you prefer. And let me give you a quick tip when it comes to reading books, which I think will be really helpful for you, because I don't necessarily read books, and I don't think you should read books either. Here's what I think you should do. Study books. Yeah, study books. So when I read books, what I do is I underline anything that's important. I take the notes on the blank pages on the back and I write it down. I write down my own index page. Why? So when I come to the end of that book, I go to my index page and go, right, what do I want to learn? And I just look at the highlights of what I want to learn, and I can go and refresh my mind around what it is that I learned. You have to study the book, not just read it. You have to understand it, not just know it. And that's very, very important, and it will help you to move forward. Always take notes on what you learn, even on this YouTube video right now. And if you're getting value from it, don't only subscribe to it, don't only like it and comment below, but most importantly, take notes, because it will help you to move forward financially. What else can help you to move forward financially? This brings us on to number 8, which is personal development. I remember being really resistant. My friend was telling me, do you know what? You've gone through a really difficult time in your relationship. You know, you've gone through a really difficult transition in your business when you really had to, I went through a stage in my business where my chief financial officer said, for my previous business, she said, we can't make payroll this month. And I was haywire. I was completely out of my wits. I didn't know what to do. I was stressed out. I was struggling. I was confused. And after I got through that period and I, got some help from friends, advisors, mentors, and I got through that period, my friend was like, yeah, come to this program. It's really going to help you to transform your life and all that stuff. I was so resistant. I was like, no, bruv, no man can't tell me nothing. I know everything. I built up a £3 million business. It was £500. It was 3 months back and forth with me to invest £500. I did it. It changed the entire trajectory of my life. 3 days, changed the entire trajectory of my life. Why? Because I invested in myself. I met a completely new network of people, which started with one guy, which expanded my network exponentially. This was the one guy that when I went to his house, like about 6-7 months later for his birthday, that I met at this one program. When I pulled up at his house, I sat outside in my car and was just like, how on earth does this 29-year-old have a massive £1 million+ house like this? And remember, proximity is power. So through that learning, and then I started to meet more people that were my age or younger than me that had big properties, big cars, great lifestyles, great businesses. And it was like, how many businesses do you run? And I was like, one. It was like, oh yeah, I run 7, 8 businesses. I was like, oh, I feel crummy, right? But just by getting around the right people, the people that are well ahead of you, getting outside, networking, building relationships, and also learning how your mind works, how you make decisions. Anything that's going to help you learn is going to be leverage tool for you. Skills help you become financially successful. Which kind of ties into number 9, which is around networking with people that are your peers, people that are influencers, people that are ahead of the game with you, and building those connections can be really, really powerful for increasing and enhancing your currency. And finally, last but not least, I wanted to save the best till last. I guess you can probably know what it is. Now, I'm going to start this by telling you that I've invested over £119,000 in my personal development and education and mentors over the last couple of years. Because that first program that I invested £500 for was the catalyst for everything. It was the catalyst for me purchasing my dream home. It was the catalyst for me being able to retire my family members and do so many amazing things, build my businesses up. And then I decided to sell it and start a new business. Like, it was a catalyst for actually living the life that I want to live. And that inspired me then to go to other mentors, go and learn, keep investing in your skills. Because look, there's like, unless you're the greatest version of you, which kind of like nobody is yet, then it's always worth learning more so that you can earning more, so that you can be earning more. You get the picture, right? So when I remember investing £35,000 into a program a couple of years ago, about speaking, and my coach, my mentor, wanted to help me I knew I was confident at speaking, I can speak in a camera, I can speak to people, etc. But I didn't have the eloquence, I didn't have the elegance of speaking. And when he was like, yeah, it's 35 grand to work with me, I was like, that's a lot of money. But do you know what? And I was like, I know what, I've got this 35,000, but it's parked away to invest in this property or invest in this and do that and do this. But then I decided, I asked myself a question that you should be asking yourself as well. I was like, if I put my all into this and I invest in this program, what's the worst case scenario? Well, the worst case scenario is I get a ton of new skills that's going to help me to make me more money. And best case scenario is then I can utilize these skills and I can make an extra £30,000 a month. And guess what happened? Within about 90 days of starting that program, I started to make an extra £30,000 a month. And that is the power of having a personal mentor. Somebody that has been where you want to go, and somebody that also knows how to coach. You've got to get somebody that knows how to coach and knows how to translate what they've done and package it into a remarkable solution for you so that you can understand it in an easy way that you can also implement. I can't stress that enough. Anyway, that are the 10 things that helped me to become a millionaire by age 32. At the time of creating this video, I'm now 37, I'm now a multi-millionaire, I run multiple businesses, and I help other coaches, consultants, and business experts to scale their businesses. So if that's something that you're interested in learning more about, click one of the links below, and I'm sure it will guide you on the right path to take your financial life and your wealth to a completely new level. My name's Jazz Rose, and I'll see you on the next video. In the meantime, stay well, stay wealthy, and stay winning.